less excuses, it's been all the shenanigans. So you really can't trust this government. No. All they are best at is making money for themselves, from the president to the finance minister.
So that's an allegation, but we'll come to that. I'm interested more in talking about the legal matters before we get to the economic issues. Defamation is the prevention of someone from commenting, but we also have free speech. Okay. Does defamation amount to gagging people? Because a lot of the times when people are running commentary on matters in the court, the issue of defamation comes up, and then someone will bring an action. And we've been following everything that has been happening in recent days. How do you manage the public commentary on matters before the court without having the challenges of defamation? I'm interested in you helping with a quick education on that before we proceed.
And the contempt of court, yes, right? The two together. So bottom line is that you have to be reasonable. Yes. So in all the commentary, in everything we do, we have to be reasonable. So, and being reasonable will also involve or will require the person commenting to check facts. Check the facts you want to refer to. And then also, most especially, avoid making statements that look like you are the judge. You see, because we say that, we want to avoid commentary that kind of predetermines the matter. It's like, so maybe the commentator is saying, look, I know law, or I know X, Y, Z. So based on X, Y, Z, Mr. A is not guilty. Let's say the Jachikwesin case. You say, well, because I know A, B, C, D in law, Jachikwesin is not guilty. No, that's the kind of thing that contempt and then defamation we seek to say don't do. Citizens shouldn't do. But as for commenting, it's very, very, very important. It's important. It's the currency of our democracy. Free speech is about the most critical currency. There are other currencies, but it's about the most critical currency of our democracy. Because when people are guaranteed free speech, then they will step up. But the moment they know that, hey, contempt will sweep them at the least mistake, then they are likely not to. So then you see Voltaire says, quote, to paraphrase, comes in, the one he's reported to have said that, I may not like you, but I will defend you to death for your right to speak. You see it? Yes. So we may not like you, but the law will guarantee you your right to freedom of speech.
But if you guarantee people freedom of speech, and yet anything that is said, you are subject to the issue of contempt. We saw how Kpebu White went to Twitter and put up a post, and before he realized he was standing before the Supreme Court. How much can we say then? And again, if they decide with their judgment, the courts, are we free to talk about it, critique it like the Jachikwesin case, for instance?
Absolutely. Sandra, the Supreme Court itself, I will find the title of that case subsequently. They've complained that we don't critique them enough. Yeah, and let's use the ordinary word, criticize. I think we are used to read and critique. Critique looks more scholarly and the rest. But if you say criticize, yes, we don't talk enough. I think as a society, we are too deferential. We defer to authority too much. No, democracy doesn't work that way. It has to be free speech. Did you hear what Biden said when the Supreme Court finally made the abortion illegal? He referred to the court, the justices who ruled in favor, as extremists. Check. There were other words, but the one that I remember, President Biden of the United States of America referred to the Supreme Court judges who, in the majority, those who ruled, he referred to them as extremists. Mario, you wouldn't take it lightly if somebody were to call you an extremist. Because, when you say extremist, then its nearest neighbor is what? Terrorists. So extremism often is used in the context of terrorists. And, so it's very negative. You see, so that's one example. So our Supreme Court, to be very honest, I've seen that the court itself is growing. We are evolving, and that's normal because as an institution, it has to grow. So you see how they dealt with the Kpebu White case? Because as far as I can remember, there were words like, the court is stupid, right? Yet, you see, they didn't do much. Yeah. But go back a few years ago, the 2012 petition, You heard what Sam Crunchy and Crash said. So, hey, I'm looking for trouble. Reverend Sam Crunchy, forgive me. So, Ken Crunchy, what he said, and then he had to do some days in custody. At Tubiga too, yes. Then, of course, that era, you remember Samuel Oku also did something like that, and they said he shouldn't come to the court again. Sir John pleaded, and then you see that they were lenient. Ayukochu went and said Popo Blibli and Beshi, of course, on different occasions. Yeah. Then fast forward, you come to the Muntie 3. Yes, what Mugabe and Co did those shows, right? The Muntie 3 was horrible, and then...
But it's good you reference the United States of America. In the U.S., it's almost clear which judge stands for which position. We know who appointed them and their philosophy. In Ghana, we don't see that in our Supreme Court. Is that better or bad? Should we know the political leanings of our judges so that we'll be guided by whatever judgment they deliver?
Oh, yes. The ideology is very, very important. We should be doing it. So, you see, that's what the court itself said decades ago. That case I'm remembering is the late 80s or early 90s, where one of the judges, is it Afra? Well, let me not try to mention the title and get it wrong. He said, no, we are not criticizing them enough. We are not doing enough critique and the rest. So we need academics and other researchers to do it. So they profile the judge, serious. We do it on a day-to-day basis, but it's not well written out like the way the Supreme Court in the US they do for the judges. Naturally, because here there are not enough legal academics. Even there are not enough lawyers, much less legal academics. So that's where the problem is. Then, of course, the political science department, sometimes they write, but it's not sufficient. I think those who would be in a good stead to do it should be, at least, there will be legal academics involved. And they are not enough. Because those, you see the faculties, those lecturers are overstretched. So they are not enough to do the research. But maybe as we grow, we will find more people coming in.
The Attorney General is an independent institution. He's supposed to operate in a way, maybe take direction from the president every now and then because that's the appointer. But generally, attorneys general are supposed to be independent. And yet, in the past few weeks, we have seen the Attorney General issue a statement to saying that respected members of society, including legal luminaries, have been dictating to his office, and he finds that very unhealthy and not right for a democratic dispensation. Will you follow that debacle? What do you make of it?
To be very honest with you, when I read it, I thought it was just a general reminder that there are limits. It's a general reminder, but let's not, I get a sense that people think it was directed at Oseadeyo Ajimabedu II, Domahini. Well, maybe it's because of my bias, because I think what Domahini did was right. I don't think the Attorney General saw
You think he's right?
Oh, Domahini. Oh, super duper. Why? He was absolutely right. He had to. Let me paraphrase Dante. You remember that famous quote by Dante, and it's also even in the Bible, Revelations. It said the hottest places in hell are reserved for people who, in times of moral crisis, refuse to speak up. The hottest places in hell are reserved for people who, in times of moral crisis, refuse to speak up. In other words, don't be lukewarm. Those who sit on the fence, me, I'm neutral. You are not neutral. Every person who says he's neutral at this point in our political development in Ghana is rather on the side of the oppressor.
Don't be a spectator.
Exactly.
But he's a high court judge. Yeah. Would he be happy if a case before him was being discussed in the media space? I'm sure he would not be. So he, as a chief, sitting in a palace, taking a judicial decision as a traditional authority, I'm not sure he would want interference. He, as a legal person, a judge, taking a decision in a high court where he has opinions being put before him and he has to decipher and determine which one is right, he would still not want people to be running commentary for him. Why is he running commentary on a case that is in court?
No. If you know Nana would welcome every shade of opinion. Good. So it's good I've appeared before him. And look, you can ask other lawyers. When you go before Nana, Oseadeyo Ajimabedu II's court, he's the one that very frequently There's a matter before him, the lawyers finish. And then look, he asks the rest of the lawyers, hey, you, what do you think? You, what do you think? He seeks our, well, let's say views. You don't want to say opinion. Maybe you can use that word too. But it's very common. Some judges do that. Sometimes they just want to test the pulse of lawyers around. They get a sense. Yeah.
But how do you just suppose that against his saying nolle prosequi should be entered?
Oh, I told you, super duper. What he did, he had to. Because look, the silence was definite. Because you see, people like me had said it weeks before. I'd repeated it like about 4 times by the time Nana was saying it. It was so clear. Look, that thing is nauseating that we sit down as citizens today and we are watching Judge Kpebu being prosecuted and we are not doing enough. We are just being, we've abandoned, we are shaking our responsibilities as citizens. Judge Kpebu's case is not a case that Attorney General should be prosecuting. No, I have said it ad nauseam. And I repeat, look, one thing is very clear, Umaru. The cardinal thing is this. The more you drag that case, then the more you bastardize the EC. Judge Kpebu didn't stand for elections or didn't stand elections all by himself. He presented his documents to the EC. The EC vetted same, and then, you know what? Somebody even raised a petition. Somebody said, no, Kpebu is not qualified. The EC looked into the matter and said the matter of qualification does not arise, or that's on grounds of dual citizenship, does not arise at the time of filing nominations, but rather it is at the time of the elections. Of course, the EC was relying on Section 20 of the PNEC Law 284. That's a Representation of People Act. That law, right? Yes, so it's the EC that gave Judge Kpebu the all clear. So for me, every time Kpebu's case is mentioned and the EC is not also being charged, that's the directors or the people who were involved, and I feel like something is going wrong. Ghanaians need to speak up. And I have been talking. By the time, as I mentioned, by the time Nana mentioned that this thing should be discontinued, I had already done nolle prosequi, and nolle prosequi is too technical, so let me use discontinuous. The lawyers listening, please, sometimes we have to use words that the ordinary citizens can understand instead of nolle prosequi.
But you see, the difficulty is that the Constitution, you have sworn to protect the Constitution. Mm-hmm. The Constitution is against perjury. The Constitution is against, what's the word? Not dual citizenship, but necessarily dual allegiance. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, has determined that what Judge Kpebu did amounted to holding dual allegiance. You should be protecting the Constitution when it has been defiled by saying that whoever defiled that Constitution should be prosecuted. And this is without prejudice to whether or not he will be found guilty.
Oh, yes, I support. And we all must support the Supreme Court.
Why is it the case should not be continued?
Yes, but this is different. The Supreme Court decisions in constitutional jurisprudence, you hear, let's say, or you hear the judges say all the time, this decision is prospective, it's not retrospective. If we were to say that based on the Supreme Court decision, then it reinforces the Kpebu trial, then the logic of that argument then suggests that then the president too should be impeached for the way he defiled the Constitution, the Demlevo matter. Demlevo told the president that, look, Mr. President, you have no right to send me away on my leave, etc. The president refused. So if you say Kpebu's trial is good, then we will go and mount shout to the highest heaven that we will impeach the president. Excellent. So then, let's just leave it. Because look, let me tell you, Sandra, I will say this 1,000 times. As for the Kpebu trial, please, and I'm coming to another argument. We shouldn't continue the Kpebu trial. It makes us look very confused. Number one, as I've said, apart from leaving out the EC, and we've not seen why the EC was left out, because it was the EC that cleared him. Number two, as we speak now, there is a bill in Parliament where we're seeking to repeal the prohibition on dual citizens becoming MPs. Meaning that going forward, we want to allow them.
But
now,
lawyers.
Good, but we look at the intentions, and you know what? The government supports the bill. This very government supports the bill. So how can the Attorney General be prosecuting Judge Kpebu and at the same time leading government to support the bill in Parliament? And I remember that when ex-President Mahama raised the matter that he will, repeal the law so that dual citizens can stand for MP when he comes. It was the AG who came out to remind President Mahama that, there's a bill in Parliament, it's already being done, and jabbed him that he was just trying to score cheap political points. So the government supports that bill. So we are confused. It's like you take 2 steps forward, then 4 backwards. That's Professor Tukuba will call it the goat dance. Let me say the goat dance. You go 2 steps forward, then you go back 4, reverse. What kind of thing is this?
But you see, the difficulty again, which you still have not explained to me, is that do you agree that holding dual citizenship breaks the law?
Oh, yes.
And running for office, perjury, is also wrong.
Yes.
So if the AG says, let me prosecute this for the judge to determine whether he's guilty or not, why don't you allow him to go? Again, AG says that no matter who, whether political or not, they should be given justice or the justice should be served. You're saying that this guy, because he's a politician, should not be touched?
No, not because he's a politician, but rather that's not how we use our state mega resources. The resources are scarce. It comes 101. Scarce resources, scarcity of resources. So when there's scarcity, you use them for the most important ones. So in a case where the EC, so this thing is on the head of the EC, this prosecution and everything, there's no way you can hear the Jachikwesin case and not think about the EC.
But you can't bring a criminal action against the EC.
Oh, yes, you can. The law allows, there's a way you do it. Yes. The law, even as a corporate entity, our laws allow corporate entities to be charged. And then there's the one that you hold individuals responsible. So we can't say that. Listen, Umaru, what is the public interest in prosecuting Jachikwesin?
That the Constitution is protected and preserved, that no one in the future will lie. Imagine if a president lied on oath. Would that not be a treasonable offense? Not treasonable, an offense that would lead to impeachment?
To a certain extent, a little bit. Practically, we will not. You see, what do you call Donald Trump?
No, but in serious countries, that happens. In serious countries, when people commit perjury, they pay for it.
Yes.
Should we not learn from them? And again, the case of Adamu Sakande is brought up every now and then by people who, and he's from your region. If he could go to jail for dual citizenship, what is wrong with Jachikwesin?
My friend, you know what? This Sakande matter is the most laughable example that anybody could cite. Right. Sakande had 3 passports. He said he was Burkinabe. He was a UK citizen, then Ghanaian citizen. So he had 3 passports. Is that what Jachikwesin had? Sakande, number 2, was hiding those passports, traveling on them whilst he was in Parliament. What did Jachikwesin do? No. Kwesin had given up the Canadian passport, at least by renouncing. He filled in his forms more than a year before the time of nomination. It's the COVID that delayed the process.
So the intentions are different, you think?
Absolutely. That's it. That is it. So let's not compare apples and oranges.
But the perjury bit, which is criminal, should not be trial to the end, so that if the court determines that this is wrong, this is not right, I'll let the guy go, it's better for his conscience, he's safer. For now, what people like you are advocating would mean that he'll still be looking over his shoulders as he moves forward, because nolly prosecutor does not mean he cannot be prosecuted later.
Oh, yes, you are right in theory, but in practice, once the nolly prosecutor is entered, I think practically nobody will be interested.
But allow him to go, let the court make the pronouncement, then we have a settled matter. Then there's precedent that we can work with. Otherwise, the precedent would be that the next Attorney General would listen to the people who are shouting on the street and saying, don't prosecute this person, don't prosecute that person. That is also not a good precedent for the democracy and the rule of law.
Well, Omar, I don't share in that one. No, I don't share. When the case is obviously bad, the Attorney General will not listen. But this one is an obviously good case. Apart from Nana Adjumambedu II, did you hear Ayuko to also support? Yes, though later he sought to refine his argument, but still, when you read it, largely supporting, right? And then you saw the Association of ADR practitioners. They issued a statement calling on the president or petitioning the president to ask the AG to discontinue the trial.
What is one wrong thing that
point? So apart from that, so didn't we enter nolly prosecutor for Aisha 1, and didn't we do it for the invisible forces who went in and even attacked a judge? Do you see that the one doing the Jachikwesin trial? That's the judge that was attacked in Kumasi. Are you aware?
It's the same judge.
That's the judge.
Which one? The one who was okay.
The one doing the Jachikwesin. That was the judge that was attacked in Kumasi. So look.
What's the one wrong thing the government will be doing by continuing to prosecute Jachikwesin?
So as I said, I think it's not.
Is it a moral thing, a political thing, or a legal thing?
All of them. So, and also economically, as I said, we have scarce resources. Oh yes, and I've remembered this. You know, we are asking for the NAM1 trial to be expedited because NAM1 took millions of people's money through his companies, etc. Now people are dying. People can't buy drugs. People can't pay their rent, etc. because of the Ponzi scheme that they made.
So channel the resources in prosecuting Judge Christian to NAM1.
Perfect. That is it. And also they should remember, the Honorable Habib, is a majority chief whip. The case where he said to a deputy majority chief whip, yes, he said to have stolen. It's in the Supreme Court. Why is the AG not interested in asking for a daily trial of that one? Because they know that if that happens, then we'll be going for another by-election. Those are the ones, because Tolon, the Habib's case, I think we don't deny that he accepts that he stole, he was convicted, and so that case, they should go into it. Let's go into those ones. This one, questioning soon his intention, so there is that pain.
Are you speaking like this because you're an NDC member?
No, to be honest, I've never gone near them, NDC, never, and I've never voted for this ex-president Mahama. Really? No, never voted for him. Me, my record, and I don't hide it. Every 8 years, I change. To be honest, I think I liked Kufuor so much, and so that's the MPP. Those days, I was in uni, and so I think, when you're in uni, you saw yourself as belonging to the MPP because they were known to be, those who had gone to school, like we say, elite. Exactly. But I didn't know, no, it's the same thing. That politicians are bad. They are worse citizens. Our worst citizens in Ghana are the politicians. So when President Kufuor came, and I saw that, no, you remember the Hotel Kufuor matter and other matters, he was chopping the money. The next
was allegedly chopping.
Oh, no, look, Umari, give us free speech. He chopped, Kufuor chopped. I've said it.
I dissociate myself
from... but I'm saying so. So when Kufuor chopped money his first term, the second term, no, I gave it to CPP. Then I've learned that your chances of changing the government are usually higher in at the end of 8 years. So 8 years, we all love good old Atamils. Everybody knew that, yes. Yes.
So you are not an NDC person?
Oh, no.
Are you an MPP person?
No, but I like them. I like them more.
So you liked Akufo-Addo?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, Akufo-Addo, the junior Jesus for me. So he was the last stop. I thought that, yes, Kufuor didn't do as much as I expected on corruption. So I thought that. Then later I learned that, Akufo-Addo, his dad was already rich, and then he also had practiced law for longer. So exactly. And then he himself used to say that, he's too old. Mejidien, I come and him, meaning that he could die any moment. And true, he had obvious, and some of his health challenges were, publicly displayed, where there were times he fell and all that. So I believe that, this man is near his grave, so there's no way he would take a CD or allow corruption to this.
Do you regret voting for him?
Absolutely. Except that there was no way I was going to vote for Mahama too, because we had judged him to be corrupt.
2024, will you vote for Mahama?
The way it's going is most likely, because the thing is that, and that's the truth, I'm not hiding it. The truth is that, you see, we need to give it to a different party. These people need to leave the scene. They need to get out from the seat so that we see. Look, Umar, let's speak plainly. Every day we hear news from the corridors of government, and the corruption is stinking.
I'll come back. This is Face to Face on City TV. Martin Kpebu is my guest. He's a lawyer. He is also an activist. He wants government to pay his money to him, but he's also disappointed in some of the things that are happening in Ghana. We'll talk about that when we come back. Please stay.
Get ready to witness a remarkable fair to showcase the rich diversity, talent, innovation, and mastery of made in Ghana products and services with the This is Ghana Exhibition 2023. City TV and City FM will allow you to immerse yourself in a vibrant showcase of authentic Ghanaian products and services in the biggest trade fair and exhibition for local SMEs, startups, research and manufacturing industries, homegrown businesses, and indigenous corporate bodies Ghana has ever seen. We shall promote, support, and patronize various Ghanaian products, solutions, and services that are redefining the views on indigenous products and their packaging across all sectors. Join us at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly on the 26th and the 27th of August 2023 at 10 a.m. through till 5 p.m. each day. Call us now on 0205-973-973 for inquiries on how to participate. The This is Ghana exhibition is powered by City TV and City FM and proudly sponsored by MTN Momo.
You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on City TV. My name is Umaru Sandamado. My guest is Martin Kpebu. He's a lawyer and a member of the individuals who are saying government is refusing to pay their money to them. And that's what we're going to talk about now. Individual bondholders, what is your story?
Yeah, government took our money through bonds.
And you gave your money to governments.
Well, that's...
When you say took, it looks like they forced you.
Okay,
you voluntarily went to the bank and gave the money.
Yes, because we trusted government. Because look, when you go to uni, even secondary school, they will tell you that government bills and bonds are the safest. Yes, but right now, this government has succeeded in rewriting economics, because now it turns out that government bonds are the most
endangered,
risky. They are the riskiest assets to put your money in, right? Yes, so at the time we're buying, we thought that yes, government bonds are safe, the returns are good, so we are lending money to government so that government will have funds to develop our country. We didn't know that government was running a Ponzi scheme. It's terrible. So now, fast forward, it's time for government to pay. Then government says it doesn't have money. When indeed it has, but was just not prioritizing its, what do you call it? It's getting its priorities wrong. Because you see, the Constitution itself, Umaru, in Article 36, says that when you are developing a nation, the first thing to do is to secure the livelihood of your citizens. It's a constitutional injunction. Secure the livelihood of your citizens. Actually, if you read Article 36, it even says that government is supposed to provide for us. Provide, but we all know that practically, if government wants to provide for everybody who is poor, there will be nothing left for the infrastructure and other development. So you see that government actually has a way of determining and providing for the poorest of the poor. That's the LEAP project. Now, so ordinary citizens who are not LEAP category have been able to eke out some savings, and then they've given it to you. The least you do is to pay them when payday comes. But payday comes and then government is swerving. Government is running over, giving excuses. No. That's not allowed.
How long ago since payday expired?
Wow. So now, at the time we issued the 150 days, as of the time we were going to do our last last press release before the intended demonstration. So if you watch the press release signed by Senyo and Dr. Akwete, you see 150 days. 100 days as of the time we were, entering to the MOU, blah, blah. It had been about 3 months, because one of the coupons dates from February 20th. So you count February 20th. It was just yesterday, 9th, almost this morning, 11:40 p.m., when government came out with a press statement that it had given instructions for the money to be paid. So when you count from February 20th, you see. Yeah.
So this is money which is what, the principal or the interest that you get on your bonds? Which one is it?
Both. So some are different principals, others are coupons. So the principals, you see 20th February outstanding.
So people who ordinarily should get money from government 20th February.
Yes.
The government did not pay them.
Yes. For March, government didn't pay. There is this in 20th April, government didn't pay. And then the coupons, so that one, the church pledge.
And what was government's explanation to the individual bondholders? Because these were individual persons. It wasn't a group. Yes. The contract was individual with the government. What was the response from government?
Well, I don't want to hold brief for them, so we are just trying to recount. Some of the reasons they gave obviously were not true. They were false. They were just lying. Saying so many untruths. That, number one, at a point when they were doing the domestic debt exchange program, they said because the program was ongoing, it was difficult to disaggregate those who were opting out from those who had opted in, so to speak. Okay, those who are.
So in the government's mind, a lot of you folks were on the DDE, so there was no point paying money to you because you're supposed to wait for 15 years.
No, the government's point was that at the time it was doing DDEP, so we should wait for it to finish. So government should finish. Our government issued a statement, and by 28th February, they were done. Also, there was a statement about 28th February. They didn't pay. March didn't pay. April. So that was the most credible that you could give. That was the most credible reason that government is involved in the DDEP, and that it was difficult to disaggregate those who were part from those who had not signed up. So wait, let's finish the program, then we'll be able to, tell those who are not part and pay. But more than 3 months.
Were there physical meetings at which assurances were given?
Oh yes.
Who were the ones in the meetings? What did they say to you?
Oh yes, so each time it was like, oh, we are preparing to pay. We are preparing to pay.
This is the finance minister?
Yes. Sometimes it was the deputy finance minister, Asari. Other times it was Anta.
The Minister of State.
Yes, okay, yes. And then the John Kumar. So it's been some engagement. And don't forget, even on the 16th of May, we signed an MOU, the government, to convert some of this, what do you call it, bonds into treasury bills. 16th of May, that one too, it's been 50 days.
It's not been done.
Yeah, it's not been done. Now they even say, okay, when they finish paying what's been paid, then they will go back to it.
And the treasury bill is supposed to be in 90 days. So you have lost 50 days already. And it has not started running.
Thank you.
Is your story the same as the one for the pensioner bondholders?
Yes, it's basically the same. The only main difference is that they are pensioners, so 60 years and above, or even if not, 60 years and above. That's where they use the categorization. But even in paying them, government put it at 59 onwards. And
so simply, government is not giving money. Do you know whether this has anything to do with the IMF program? Could that be what is stalling the process?
No, rather, yes, I see what you mean. Could that have to do with the IMF program? Yes, in certain respects. When I say yes, so I understand was that, even though when the debt restructuring was done, ours was done, my understanding is that the IMF wasn't happy with what we got because it still wasn't sufficient. You see, because the ultimate aim is to reduce our debt to GDP ratio, by 2028. Make sure that it's come that much down, right? 55%, right? That's the percentage. So by the time when the debt exchange program was done, based on the results, it didn't look good. So do you see that when government went to Washington, the spring meeting, and returned, they had to surreptitiously go and do a second round of debt restructuring with the banks and this insurance, the pension funds. So you see that surreptitiously, the government went back to the banks and then inflicted further pain on our banks. So you see that the banking sector is reeling under extreme pain. Liquidity and other challenges. We are in trouble. This government has thrown us into a deep crater. Very, 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 very serious.
What is your reading? Is it the case that they don't have the money to give you or they don't want to give you the money?
Oh, they have. The thing is that they set overly ambitious targets. Overly ambitious, you see. So they're trying to, and that's part of the breaking the 8 agenda. So they don't want to take it easy and do it normally. No. Because of that agenda that you break the 8, you set overly ambitious targets, and then so reducing the debt to GDP ratio to the 55%. Within this short time, it's too short. So that means that force the banks more, force them more to give up, to give you longer payment period. Just like the way they brought it into the this individual bondholders, and majority didn't buy in, so they didn't get the targeted results with the individual bondholders. So they shifted more onto the banks. And after they were done with the banks and went to the IMF, the spring meetings, and all those things, when the IMF looked at it, it's obvious that no, still, the figures weren't gelling. So government came back and decided to go see the, the banks again, and did the second round.
But we are broke. That is obvious to everybody. So the government is broke.
Oh, no, I don't think so. When you say broke, it's because government is bent on finishing certain projects at all costs. So it's like we are living beyond our means. So when you say broke,
projects are needed.
Oh, no, there are ways we can manage them. Like, so if you say Agenda 111, all those hospitals at the same time, no, we don't need that.
Hospitals because Kpebu wants his money?
Not because of, but that's the Constitution says so. So the Constitution says that before you build more hospitals, make sure that you pay people you owe, because for these people, that is their livelihood. Because even there's a first duty that even if we're speaking pure constitutional law alone, we say that there's a duty to give every poor person food, shelter, clothing before you attempt to do infrastructure development. But we all know that sometimes if you follow too much of the theory, we'll crash. So in practice, we've agreed to do LEAP. Okay? But people who are not covered by LEAP, but this is all of their income, the bonds, they've lent you money. That is the money that the coupons is what they use to pay school fees, to pay rent, buy drugs, etc. I've seen the case of this Mr. Kojo Nyatepe. Yeah, very old. Eventually, Mr. Larry Jiage, the lawyer and insurance practitioner, he had to pay Mr. Kojo Nyatepe's medical bills. And then you remember the medical doctor, a doctor who has served us. Now, he himself is sick. He needs his own money to go and buy medication. We are not paying them. And so many other examples, people who are wheelchair bound now. It's terrible, Mario. Look, it breaks my heart.
Are you not using those people's plight to put the government and paint the government in bad lights?
No, I'm not painting. It's yeah, we have to tell a story. You must always tell a story. You remember President Kufuor those days, the Yaya Mobodudo, Yatisika so come the so the time President Kufuor was doing that, was that just painting the previous government in bad light? Yaya Mobodudo, Yatisika so come the what's changed? It's not the same thing.
It's the same thing that is happening now. You had practicalized a series of programs that you intended to deploy. You were planning a picketing today, Tuesday. Yeah. That has been arrested. What was your plan?
Yes, we would have continued picketing and picketing. Yes.
The other people are picketing. The pensioners are picketing. Nothing is happening. The people who want to be paid for supplying foodstuffs to schools, they have been sleeping at the buffer stock. Nobody is minding them. So your picketing really cannot bring you anything, can it?
Oh, it can. It does produce results. You see the government.
Are not getting anything.
Oh, they are. I believe they are, because they are all covered with this. They are all covered. And then the food suppliers you mentioned. The last time I listened to the news was on Friday. I heard the agri minister says that he had promised them in a month's time or something. But there's a certain definite timeline that's been given.
They have not been paid. They're still.
Yes, it's going into the future. I think it's about a month from now or something.
They say they don't trust the promise.
Oh, but I believe that because it's been made publicly, and the agri minister, he knows that he's already suffered a lot of backlash for they will not hand over power. That comment he made, is still fresh in our memories. So I'm sure he knows that he doesn't enjoy enough public support. So he will be the last person to break such a promise.
Does the suspension of your picketing means all your problems have been solved?
No, but at least right now, government is shown from the statement that instructions have been given. So it means that, yes, they'll be given tomorrow or the next day, up to 4 days from now, will be paid. And then they say the other ones will be paid. And also, Omar, there's a certain context. Remember that the DDEP, when it was done, the first group of payments have to be made, or let's say the first tranche or cohort will be made in August this year. So you see that government had to put its act together to be seen to clear its debt. Otherwise, it would have started sowing doubts in the minds of those who are to receive payments next month.
What is your own plan of action? After 4 days, money is supposed to hit your account. If that fails?
Oh, definitely we'll go back. So it's a suspension. We just suspended it. So if the money is not paid, we'll go back.
But have you had any physical meeting with government beyond the official press statement we've seen in the public space? Has there been any meetings or any direct letter written to you guys to say that please suspend your strike for ABCD or suspend your mass action for ABCD? We are doing ABCD. Have they said anything directly to you?
Yes. Yeah, yesterday there was a meeting in the evening at the Ministry of Finance. Yes, and before that, on Friday, there was a meeting. There have been a series of meetings. After they'd seen that, no, we were really serious and bent on undertaking the picketing, they've been a bit responsive. So there've been a series of meetings.
So you're certain that this will come to pass, what they have promised you will come to pass?
Yes. Oh, no, for them to have published this statement, no, it will be suicidal. Okay. Government cannot afford.
You were planning to demonstrate. Why didn't you plan to go to the courts? Why didn't you explore the courts?
That's a good question. But, sometimes the demonstrations and the picketing bring rapid results. They bring far rapid results than going to court. Going to court on average is years. Yeah, if you go to court, due process.
Doesn't mean you don't trust our judicial system?
Not at all. Oh, for a lawyer who makes a living there, I make a living in the court, so the court is the last place I want to bastardize or do anything. No. And that's why I can speak openly, because that's where I make a living. Yes, but what happens is that there's due process. So if you do this debt recovery action and all that. In the first place, there are so many technical challenges, and it can take years. Yeah.
But these are individual contracts. Why did you have to mobilize and make it a mass group or a class act? Explain that idea to me. Yes, because we know there's a group that Senyo is leading, there's a group, the pensioners, and then you were also leading a group. Explain to me how you guys decided to merge and why you decided to even invite people to join you.
Excellent, because that's the most reasonable thing to do. In unity lies strength. Can you imagine how it would have sounded if everybody was pursuing government individually? The number of meetings it's not even possible. The number of meetings the finance ministry officers would have held, it just wasn't possible. So this was the most reasonable thing to do, that batch together, and also it makes communication easier.
Yes. This challenge, you reckon it is a bigger problem, and that is a Jubilee House that should be blamed for this?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, because the IMF report even says it. Government wasn't disciplined. So government lacked the discipline. Government lacked the financial discipline, or you could say fiscal discipline. Don't forget, by end of 2019, we're already debt distress. So there's the IMF World Bank report issued in January 2020 before COVID hit, where they were saying that by the end of 2019, we're already debt distressed. There was high risk of debt distress. So they started sounding their alarms that no, cut down. Yet government still went on binge borrowing. Then apart from that, even when COVID hit, the World Bank came out with a program, the Debt Suspension Initiative. It has a longer title. You see World Bank President David Malpass. He said, you can Google it. He said he was disappointed that Ghana refused to sign up to that program. Debt suspension, they were going to help us. Don't forget, those guys, yes, we've mismanaged. We lack the discipline. They have the discipline. Yes, we know the World Bank and IMF, they've also contributed in a way to the woes we suffer. But that is not the discussion. That's not a topic for discussion today. So bottom line, they had seen that we're bound for the ditch, or let's say the crater, we're going to fall in. And so they said, come, let's help you. Oh, President Kufuor Oforiatta refused. That no, we will not take part in the debt suspension program. And then, boom, just less than 2 years on, we went to the IMF in an ambulance. No, so we just lack the foresight. President Kufuor just doesn't have what it takes. He and Oforiatta so incompetent. They said they had the men, they had the men. It turned out that they were not competent. A bunch of incompetents.
You are simply saying that they don't have competent men. Yeah. But they have men. Because we're told that they had men.
Yes, but not.
And we are seeing the men. We are seeing all manner of programs being rolled out. We've seen free SHS being rolled out. We've seen in the trade ministry, we've seen what they are doing. The vice president is leading our digitalization agenda. We're told that the economy, they pretty much have it on top. We're told that Ken Oforiatta was a master on this game.
Well, the results have proven him wrong. Apart from free SHS, which I love, yes, that one, free SHS is good. It's good. It will help because we need education. You need to change their minds. Citizens need to be able to read and write, and then so we'll reap the benefits in future. The rest, no, they got all the programs wrong. You see, Omaro, this is the thing. What was the structure of the economy? We're so much, and we still are, import dependent. So Akufo-Addo said he was going to transform this economy in 18 months. So what do? Rice, oil, poultry, fish. Those. Yes, so we're supposed to set up farms to produce this locally. You didn't set up these farms and you thought by some magic you could transform the economy. So he saw that he was sloganeering. President Akufo-Addo, Oforiatta, all of them, they were just doing slogans. Yes, you mentioned one district, one factory. No, it doesn't solve the problem. The one district, one factory, how many of them are set up to produce the kind of perfume rice that Ghanaians like from abroad? How many of them are producing poultry? The poultry industry is dead. Dead.
But you are ignoring the role of COVID-19 and the Ukraine war. It is something the government always points to, and it is a fact, isn't it? Because there are other countries that have gone to the IMF for support. So it shouldn't be the men you should blame, but the act of God.
No. Please, this one is not an act of God. President Akufo-Addo promised that he would transform this economy in 18 months. By the time COVID hit, he had more than twice that time. 18 times 2, is that 36? 36. Yeah.
No, that's too much because he came in 2017. 2017, 2018, 2019. Okay.
Yeah. You see. So,
but they said that they were on a trajectory.
No. We're debt distress. The World Bank report says it, and by the end of 2019, we're debt distress. It's a report. It's just on the net. Once you Google it, it comes out. World Bank report on Ghana's debt. Sustainability levels 20 at the end of 2019.
They said that we were having challenges, all right, but we're crippled further by the COVID and by the Ukraine, and it's a global problem.
Good. I like the way you've repeated it because I'd forgotten this point. I like, when they were in opposition, what was it that happened? Was it Doomsday or something that happened? Then Baumia gave a classic example that, so how did that problem skip Togo, Burkina Faso, all our neighbors, and then landed on Ghana alone? So the same thing I'll ask them. So COVID, are we the only persons that it affected? And don't forget tomorrow, we got over 20 billion or about 20 billion from the COVID. The World Bank gave us, IMF gave us. Yeah, when you convert, you remember the COVID-19 report, is it about 22 billion?
And we're still paying COVID taxes.
Thank you. So this is neither here nor there.
This is Face to Face on City TV. My guest is Martin Kpebu. We've talked about individual bondholders. We're going to come back. 2024 is coming up soon. As a citizen, what should you be doing? The president says, don't be a spectator, be a citizen. Martin Kpebu appears to be doing that. He's a lawyer. I'll ask him why he's decided to forget his lawyer gown and just be campaigning on the street and what we should be doing as citizens. Stay with us.
The point of view.
If cabinet ministers have been accused of sabotaging a major government program, which almost every day was in the news, how come we haven't heard anything until after the interview and then we are told that this should be investigated?
With the complexities of the issues happening around us on a daily basis.
Bernard, we are not in a good place. We're not in a good place because we don't have access to the international capital market.
It's the hard-hitting conversations on The Point of View.
MPP and the NDC have had a consensus about economic policy. The fight really has been about who will be in power and who will be sitting at the edge of the trough and helping themselves and their associates.
And the probing questions of The Point of View.
How many times have I even showed the world's most expensive hole? Why can't they tell us the exact amount? And why is it that what they told Parliament is not less than $1 million?
The twisted entanglements of politics and governance.
There's nothing wrong for a politician to address national issues and also respond to critics.
As well as religious and social discourse.
I think that people are entitled to their own opinion on issues. And so when the president said, I want to build a national cathedral, people can have their own opinion on matters. But let us pray that God will bless this economy so that we can have our roads built and the cathedral built.
The Point of View brings you the policymakers and duty bearers and drills down to the very bottom of issues.
As part of your budget for the year is a line item that says what? Electricity.
Yeah,
So what's your reason for not paying?
economy.
How can the economy be a reason?
Yeah.
What about us?
The Point of View airs every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on City TV and is sponsored by Belpac. Belpac, just perfect.
You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on City TV. My name is Umaru Sandama and my guest is Martin Kpebu. He's a lawyer. You've complained about the state of the economy, the fact that there are challenges with our finances. There is a view that we lose so much money to corruption. The Akufo-Addo candidate you supported told us he was incorruptible, told us that he was going to fix the corruption problem. He told us he would bring the office of special prosecutor and all of those things and strengthen institutions. He used a NAS principle and all of that. What is your verdict on the performance of his government in terms of fighting corruption?
Oh, he has failed. He has failed.
Based on what matrix?
Excellent. So now, you see, number one, if you look at our scores on the Transparency International Initiative, remember when he came, so when President Mahama was in office and the whole NDC regime, they went up to 49, right? So we did well. Then their worst was 43%, right? Good. Since President Akufo-Addo took over, I think that has been the best. 43 has been the best, right? So he's failed. And then number two, look at the current IMF document, what do you call it? the IMF program, that's the 17th program we just went to, is there, one of the pages. It says that the fight against corruption has been dwindling, okay? We've been losing and losing for the past decade. So obviously he's not the only one, so part of it goes into the previous administration. But the past 6.5 years.
Could that not be just an indexing issue, but practically on the ground, he's doing a lot of work. We have an IGP who is being celebrated. When we came back from the elections in Asin North, even the NDC was celebrating the sitting IGP, which is an unusual thing. We have an Office of Special Prosecutor, which he created. We have IOCO, we have CID, and all of these things. Clearly, he's doing something. That he has passed the RTI law and all of that. He should be taking credit rather than...
No. What he has done is too little, too late. It's not sufficient at all. It's not transformational. They're just bits and pieces here. Let me tell you. Let's take them. And I hope we can get 5 minutes so that we can go into details. Look, number one, when he was coming, he granted an interview to the BBC that he was going to fund free SHS from the proceeds of corruption. That's the corruption he was going to fight. That's what he was going to use to fund the free SHS. Please.
I remember when he went to BBC and they asked him, he said he didn't have the funding plan or he was not going to announce it there. He would announce it when he comes back. And I remember they said it will be from oil. They will use oil to fund free SHS. I don't know this part of the information shared.
He said from free corruption. Okay. The proceeds from corruption. I've watched that clip a number of times. After this, excellent. So that is it. Yes. So he said he will fund free SHS from the proceeds of corruption. Where is it? So he couldn't fight corruption. So by his own statement, it means that is it. He's failed. He said the yardstick that the fight against corruption, what he was going to do. So that's the previous administration being corrupt, among other things. That fight, he was going to recover enough money to fund free SHS. As far as I'm aware, free SHS is not being funded from proceeds from corruption. There's no case that we are aware that is what he used. Domlevo, who helped to stop a certain corrupt deal about $1 billion or $2 billion, he ended up sacking Domlevo. So by sacking Domlevo, then everybody saw that that was the beginning of President Kufuor's corruption, because Domlevo was on to get him. He was get him, the Kroll and Associates case. Then number two, a number of cases that happened and Kufuor cleared them. So you see, you got the title clearing, clearing agent or that, right? Cash for seeds, all the boss saga, there was evidence that people are done wrong. Then quickly, Kufuor cleared them. Mention them. Almighty PDS. Almighty PDS. Alma took. Look at what Ajimamenu did. The unconstitutional contracts he entered into. When the Supreme Court said, no, don't enter into international contracts without parliamentary approval, he did. Kufuor couldn't sack the guy, the health minister, Ajimamenu, health minister. Go on and on and on. Look, COVID-19, do you see the documentary Manasseh did? Kufuor, they funnel some money through some fictitious fumigation. Kufuor and Zoom Lion. Manasseh is dead. About 500 million at the assemblies. Phase 1 was over 150 million, then phase 2. Altogether, about 500 million. Some fictitious fumigation. Fumigation that wasn't necessary. Fumigation that the assembly said they could do for less. Right? Then you come on. So you're talking about things that show that he's fighting corruption. Look, as we sit now, the Office of Special Prosecutor is grossly underfunded. You just read Kisia Jabin's half-yearly report, the one that came out at the end of June 30th. So after, I think July 1st that he issued. Yeah, so for a half year, you see that he still hasn't received the establishment budget. So as we speak now, we are left with about 25 lawyers. We are sending a petition to President Kufuor that he should give the establishment budget. Because, you see, the special prosecutor needs that budget to be able to get a lot of forensics, cybersecurity infrastructure, and the rest to fight corruption.
Well,
they want to...
He still has people he's prosecuting. The Galamsey fight, they have people in court. the Public Procurement Authority boss is in court.
Yes.
These are signs that he's prosecuting his own people.
No, you see, Chairman with me, as I said here, myself and 3 other people, Kenashigbe, Edem Sanan, then Kwame Saponsidu, we reported Chairman with me Akonta mining to the CID since October last year. CID has been pussyfooting on that matter, pussyfooting. So what do you expect? No. Please. As for Kufuor and corruption, they are bedfellows. Please.
No, let's say.
Counsel,
you can't say.
Oh no, I've said it. That's the truth. by his conduct, everything. President Kufuor's reputation is in tatters now. You see how time reveals everything there. Time is revealed.
Time is up. We have to end the discussion. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Martin Kpebu. He's a private legal practitioner. He joined us for Face to Face today. My name is Umaru Sandamado. Thank you. Keep watching City TV. It's your world.
City TV is live on DSTV. Find us on channel 363. On GoTV, we're on channel 117. And on HD Plus, get us on channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search, but take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV. City TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and HD Plus boxes. City TV, it's your world.
Hello and welcome to the City Sports Roundup with me, Benjamin Nketia. Coming up, Black Queens head coach Nora Hoptel enthusiastic about Ghana's chances of qualifying for the Paris Olympic Games.